World Bank must speak out against immoral act of vaccine hoarding. Singapore Wealth Fund invests 750 million ringgit in Sunway Healthcare. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. You're watching News at 10. I'm Shuhaida Arifin. Malaysia calls for the World Bank to be a strong voice for developing countries for global vaccine equity. Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Khairi Jamaluddin, said that the hoarding of vaccines by the industrialized countries was immoral and the move had fallen short of respectable and responsible global leadership.
We are appreciative of the donations that we will be receiving from advanced countries in the coming weeks. But then this does not do away with what has taken place over the last few months, and that is the cornering of the vaccine market. We set up COVAX in global solidarity as a mechanism to ensure vaccine equity, and that has been an abysmal failure. And I think the World Bank owes it to developing countries to be a strong voice for vaccine equity on the global stage.
In a special address at the launch of the Malaysia Economic Monitor June 2021 edition held virtually today, Khairi also noted the need for renewed solidarity and urgency to narrow vaccine equity gaps that were leaving low and middle income countries behind. Meanwhile, Khairi, who is also coordinating minister of the National COVID-19 Immunization Program, said the government aims to get 60% of the population vaccinated by end September, while also continuing to support firms and preserve jobs for the rakyat through various relief packages. The World Bank reports Malaysia's economy is projected to grow by 4.5% this year compared to an earlier forecast of 6.0%. According to its Malaysia Economic Monitor, weathering the surge report launched today, the recent spike in infection has raised concerns about the overall capacity of Malaysia's health system and the effects of the ongoing cycle of opening and closing the economy on households and firms. World Bank Group Senior Economist for Macroeconomics, Trade and Investment, Shakirateh Sharifuddin, said the ongoing pandemic and movement restrictions would have an impact on Malaysia's economy in the near term.
While negative spillover effects from the pandemic continue to weigh on growth, these effects were cushioned by several developments. First, there was less restrictive movement control during the earlier part of the year. And measures such as the ICNR EPF withdrawal scheme actually provided some support to private consumption.
According to the World Bank report, Malaysia's immediate priority must focus on the efficient and sustained management of the ongoing pandemic and its effects on individuals, households and firms, while an effective find, test, trace, isolate support strategy is essential to ensure a safe and gradual reopening of the economy and an easing of movement restrictions. It added that protecting the lives and the health of citizens and thereby preventing further strains of the country's health system is vital to ensure a safe resumption of economic activities and prevention of a more protracted economic downturn. The sizable foreign direct investment FDI in Sunway Berhad's unit, Sunway Healthcare Holdings Sendiri and Berhad, is a demonstration of confidence in both the conglomerate and the Malaysian economy and a testament to the excellent track record in the country's healthcare sector. Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said, in the wake of the global COVID-19 pandemic and its devastating impact on lives and livelihoods across the world, the importance of investments in healthcare cannot be understated.
Naturally, I am delighted that Singapore's Foreign Wealth Fund, GIC, is investing 750 million ringgit for an eventual 16% stake in the healthcare division of Malaysia's leading conglomerate, Sunway Group.
The Premier said this in his pre-recorded speech for the investment signing ceremony between Sunway Berhad and GIC Ventures. Tan Sri Muhyiddin said, in 2019, in the pre-pandemic era, the country attracted 1.3 million international healthcare tourists with a total of 1.7 billion ringgit in hospital receipts. Most of the country's healthcare travelers come from Indonesia, China, India, Bangladesh, Japan, the United Kingdom, Philippines, Australia, Singapore and United States. This latest investments by Singapore showed that Malaysia remains attractive to investors despite the challenging economic landscape brought about by the pandemic. Sarawak is expected to get the Cansano COVID-19 vaccine supply by the middle of July. Deputy Chief Minister Dato' Amar Douglas Ugah Embas said Sarawak had earlier requested from the federal government for 650,000 doses of the vaccine, which only required one dose of injection. Met after visiting the vaccination centre at Spa Public Hall in Bentong Division, Dato' Amar Douglas said, being a single dose, the Cansano vaccine fits in perfectly in the vaccination program for its rural population, especially for those living in the interiors.
Tapi sekarang kita melihat ada beberapa kampung di luar bandar, di bahagian Miri, bahagian Kapit telah kita beri Sinovac. Mengapa kita beri? Kerana sekarang ada tempat-tempat di situ ada berlaku wabak pandemik 19. Supaya satu langkah yang kita ambil bagi vaksin secepat yang mungkin di kawasan luar bandar. Sebab itu, kerana kalau kita menunggu Cansino, kita tak tahu bila Cansino datang. Dan dalam kita menunggu, kalau kita tidak beri vaksin kepada mereka, maka mereka akan terdedah.
Meanwhile, Ugah, who is also the Sarawak Disaster Management Committee Chairman, said the COVID-19 immunization program in the urban areas is now entering phase 3, involving individuals aged 18 and above. Sultan of Johor, Sultan Ibrahim Almarhum Sultan Iskandar has given consent for the Johor State Legislative Assembly to convene on 12 August. A post on His Majesty's official Facebook page today stated that the ruler also agreed to grace the opening of the State Legislative Assembly sitting on that date in Kota Iskandar. The ruler also instructed all Johor assemblymen to unite and attend the sitting for the benefit of the people and the state, especially to discuss the action plan to help the people whose lives were affected by COVID-19 and to properly restructure the state's economic recovery plan. His Majesty also expressed his disappointment as the COVID-19 crisis has yet to be resolved until today. Earlier today, Sultan Ibrahim granted an audience to Johor Menteri Besar Datuk Hasni Muhammad, State Secretary Datuk Azmi Rohani and Legal Advisor Amir Nasruddin. Meanwhile, the Negeri Sembilan State Legislative Assembly has been scheduled to convene in the first week of August. Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Aminuddin Harun said Yang di-Pertuan Besar Tuanku Muhriz Tuanku Munawir has given his consent to the seating. All the necessary notices and gazettes will be sent out as soon as possible to all assemblymen. The last session of the sitting was held on 3rd December 2020 to table the State 2021 budget. Coming up, MMEA seizes Vietnamese boats, fish catch equipment worth 6 million ringgit. The Johor police have crippled a fraud syndicate that masqueraded as a part-time employer of agent from an e-commerce platform with the arrest of 22 individuals in Kota Tinggi. Its police chief Dato' Ayub Khan Maidin PJ said the suspects consist of 11 local men and 11 local women aged between 15 and 28 years old were arrested in a series of raids at 4 different locations on Monday. illegally using a popular e-commerce platform brand to hide their modus operandi, Dato' Ayub Khan said the syndicate has been active since last month and frequently changed their operation center to avoid from being nabbed by the authorities. He said the syndicate mainly targeted Singaporeans as their scam victims who came across various advertisements on social media offering lucrative benefits, which would then lead the victims to the scammers via phone calls.
Dan dia orang akan kontak dengan service center yang kita serbu tuan. Dan mereka ni akan menawarkan pakej-pakej lah. Sama ada pakej sebagai ejen yang regular yang mana komisen yang 8% ataupun VIP ejen tuan 15%.
The suspects have since been remanded for 3 days to assist investigations under Section 420 of the Penal Code. Police have busted a syndicate that profited from identity theft and disputing payments for online purchases. Sentul Police Chief ACP Beh Eng Lai said the sole suspect, a 35-year-old man, was arrested in Sungai Buloh on 18th June after a report was lodged on the same day. Explaining further, he said the suspect's payment to his victims were made via e-wallets, which he would register with stolen identities that he obtained from social media platforms. The suspect was believed to have learned this modus operandi from his friends in the United Kingdom and that he had been active since 2018.
Modus operandi suspek adalah mendapatkan barangan yang dibeli melalui penipuan jual beli asal talian terhadap mangsa. Jadi barangan yang dibeli dibayar melalui akaun e-wallet yang didaftarkan atas maklumat individu palsu yang dibeli. Suspek menggunakan alamat palsu untuk penerimaan barangan berkenaan. Jadi barangan yang diperolehi secara penipuan itu kemudian akan dijual semula kepada pembeli lain dengan harga yang lebih murah daripada harga pasaran.
He added the e-wallet companies involved met with the police over the matter and cooperated fully with the investigation. According to ACP Eng Lai, the losses from the cases linked to the suspect were estimated to be around 80,000 ringgit. Members of the public are advised to be wary of such illegal activities while conducting business on e-commerce platforms. 4 Vietnamese boats were captured off the coast of Terengganu by the Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency (MMEA) under Ops Coup de Laut, involving an expropriation totaling 6 million ringgit. Terengganu MMEA Director Captain Muhammad Sufi Muhammad Ramli said all the boats were detected in the area covering 77 to 78 nautical miles of Kuala Terengganu last Monday. According to Captain Muhammad Sufi, when the boats were stopped, 46 crew members, including 4 skippers, were busy counting their catch on Malaysian waters. Checks conducted on the 4 boats found that 46 crew members, including the skippers, aged 15 to 62, did not have any valid identification documents nor possessed any license to fish in the country's waters.
Cubaan semasa pernah ditahan, mereka ni memang cuba sedaya upaya untuk melarikan diri, walaupun bagaimanapun mereka telah masuk dalam, terlalu dalam perairan kita, melebihi 30 batu nautika daripada sepadan. Jadi untuk mereka lari daripada ditahan oleh KM Nusa adalah mustahil, kerana kita dengan kecekapan anggota dan pegawai kita berjaya juga memberkas mereka ni daripada terus menangkap ikan.
The authorities also seized 14 tons of catch, including fish and squids, and 4,000 liters of diesel. Preliminary investigation revealed that the boats had been in Malaysian waters for more than a month. The suspects are being detained under the Fisheries Act 1985 and Immigration Act 1959-1963. A ministry's Assistant Division Secretary was remanded by the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC for allegedly receiving gratification of over 1 million ringgit to help a number of companies secure projects under the ministry since 2016. The remand order, which lasts until 27th June, was issued by Putrajaya Court's Magistrate Shahwira Abdul Halim. According to sources, the 46-year-old man was detained at 9 p.m. after he came to give his statement at the MACC headquarters in Putrajaya yesterday. He was believed to have received gratification for himself in the form of cash amounting to 300,000 ringgit, jewelry, 2 acres of land, a double-story shop house, and a motorcycle as an endorsement to help 11 companies secure general supply, services, and transportation projects under the ministry's purview. The man has been remanded for 5 days from today, and the case is being investigated under Section 17, subsection A of the MACC Act 2009. A police inspector and 2 lance corporals have been remanded today for allegedly soliciting bribes amounting to 15,000 ringgit from a suspect in a drug case. The 5-day remand order was issued by a Sungai Petani Magistrate Court Registrar Muhammad Alif Abdul Aziz. The 33-year-old inspector and 2 lance corporals aged 24 and 30 were detained by Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC officers in Bandar Baharu Kedah between 12:10 a.m. and 2:30 a.m. They were detained to help in investigations for allegedly soliciting bribes from the suspect as an inducement to release him from a drug possession offence. State MACC Director Datuk Shaharum Nizam Abdul Manap confirmed the arrest in a statement and said they were remanded to assist investigations under Section 17, subsection A of the MACC Act 2009. A cleaner pleaded not guilty on the charge of driving recklessly and causing death to a disabled person, OKU. The accused, Muhammad Adlin Abdul Rahman, 46, made the plea in front of Magistrate R. Manumani. In the incident, 2 policemen were patrolling when they came upon the Myvi being driven suspiciously by Muhammad Adlin. The policemen tried to flag him down at a traffic light junction, but the accused sped off, leading police in a chase. He then rammed into a 61-year-old pedestrian who was crossing the road, killing him on the spot. The accused is charged under Section 302 of the Penal Code for murdering Teo Kar Hin, 61, at Jalan Perak between 6:45 and 6:50 a.m. on 15 June. Muhammad Adlin was also charged with obstructing 4 policemen from discharging their duties on the same day and time. He is also charged under Section 15, subsection 1, subsection A of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952 for testing positive for methamphetamine. 12 August has been set for remention of all charges. Johor Darul Takzim JDT started their Asian Football Confederation AFC Champions League campaign on the wrong footing when they lost 1-0 to Nagoya Grampus in the opening Group G match at the Raja Mangala National Stadium in Bangkok last night. The first 45 minutes of the match saw both teams adopting a cautious approach with occasional attacks on the goalmouth which did not bear fruit. Young national player Arif Aiman Muhammad Hanapi, who is making his debut in the AFC Champions League, had a good chance to put JDT into the lead in the 42nd minute when he beat the Nagoya Grampus defence but shot straight into the path of goalkeeper Michel Langgerak. Nagoya Grampus, who are second in Japan's main league, stepped up their attacks after the interval and were eventually rewarded when striker Yoga Yamasaki beat an offside trap to pass the ball to Hiroyuki, who coolly slotted it into goal. Stung by the setback, JDT started to tighten their game, with coach Benjamin Mora bringing in 3 substitutes, Safiq Rahim, Muhammad Ramadan Saifullah and Matthew Davies, but they still failed to find the equalizer until the final whistle. South Korea's Pohang Steelers beat Ratchaburi's FC of Thailand 2-0 to lead Group G with 3 points, the same as Nagoya Grampus, who are in second spot. JDT are third, while Ratchaburi FC are last in the group. The two teams will meet on Friday. All right, so that concludes this evening's news at 10. In our top story, World Bank must speak out against the immoral act of vaccine hoarding. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. I'm Shuhaida Arifin. Stay tuned to Saluran Berita RTM and have a pleasant evening.